Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all well. Monday night, 8 o'clock means it's another of my Q&As. And tonight we're speaking to probably what I think is he's proven to be the best pundit there's ever been in snooker. He's just he's on a different level. Him and Neil, I'm very fortunate to work with. Alan McManus, my guest tonight, and Neil Folds on the ITV snooker. So let's see if Alan's there. Not quite. Is he there? Yeah, he's not there yet. So, yeah, he's turned into something special. Alan, if you've read any of the pieces he's writing as well, it's very in depth pieces on snooker. And it's he's turned into quite the journalist. Let's see if he's there. Oh, I've played golf. 3 rounds of golf I have played since it was allowed. 1 bad round and played today. Not bad. As usual, can't putt. Anyone watch that golf last night? It was alright, but I turned it off after about 4 or 5 holes. There was no edge in it at all. I think it'd have been better if they had like big bricks of money or something. They actually played for their own money. That would have been quite cool. But for me it wasn't. It lacked a bit of spark for me. There he is. Let's see if... There he is.
Hey,
how are you? How are you doing?
All right, mate. Aye.
Were you in Glasgow?
Aye, just now, aye.
Yeah. So what's it been? What's it like in Scotland?
Well, today it's cloudy. It's actually the last, since lockdown, the last probably 6 or 7 weeks we've not had any rain.
Really?
No, it's been all right.
We say it's no rain, so you're not being able to play golf. That's just a nightmare, isn't it?
Aye, no. Once the didn't it?
You were saying earlier you reckon they're going to lift it soon. You're going to be able to play.
Aye, I've not actually seen the news tonight, but I think one of my mates texted us today said the golf they're going to lift. I don't know when it kicks in though, but it'll be. The Boris Johnson thing was 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
After we see Monday, Wednesday, so I guess maybe Wednesday, Thursday. I'm guessing, But I'll probably not play. You were playing the day.
Yeah. What you're not desperate to get out?
No, really. No, well, no, really. I don't like playing when the snooker's in. The season.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So probably no bother. I'd like maybe one game.
Right. Apparently it was in the papers today. There's going to be a tournament possibly in June the 1st. Will you play in it?
No, I'm not going to play. No, there is. I think it's going June the 1st to June the 11th or something. It's in Leicester. Groups of 4, 64 players play down to 16. Each winner of each group goes down to the last 16.
Okay.
And then they play then 4 more groups, and then maybe a semi and a final. I'm not that sure.
So it's basically like that championship league that they run every year. So like a version of that.
Well, pretty much. I think the idea is it's going to be best of 5s. I think the idea is to give guys no games, just get them active again. But the problem, it's not so much. Well, the virus thing obviously is a big issue because it's a long travel for us. You know how. But the main thing, I've not hit a ball. Since pretty much 2 months. So, and I can't get in the club either. So.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. As the guys, John and Stephen, they've got them units and that. Can they play in that or?
Well, having been up there, I would assume that they can.
Have they been playing? Do you know? Have you heard? Has anyone been playing?
No, I don't. Do you know? I don't know. I spoke to Graham the other day, Dotty, and he's done an hour here and there, but not much more than that. I don't think he's playing either. Anybody else? I've not spoke to anyone.
Yeah. because it's going to be so weird. I mean, obviously, Llandudno's still a bit, I don't know, it's 50-50 or whatever. But if the World Championship is on, I mean, surely it's going to be the most open championship ever because everyone's rusty. Nobody's played.
Well, they will be. I seen your chat with Willow last week, and he was saying he's not really played, even though he's able in the house. But I don't think John's. In fact, who did I speak to? I was talking to Johnny Ray the other day, and he says I don't think John Higgins has been playing. John's to play in this, without any tournaments, I would imagine. But World Championship, if it go, I'm beginning to think now it might go ahead. I know your 50-50 is probably not far off the mark, in it, but I'm thinking maybe it will with the football's going to start in it in sometime in June, is it?
Yeah, I think Barry's just desperate to get something on there, and obviously everyone's crying out to watch some live sport. But I just wow, as I say, you just worry if it's going to be live this tournament in June, and I hear there's not a lot of money for it. So will the top players play, and what sort of standards is it going to be? I don't know.
I think the winner gets 20,000 or something. I think you get about £1,000 for turning up, something like that. So I think it's two reasons. One, to get the game back in its feet and give guys a wee bit of match practice and things like that. But they're talking about, I don't know which hotel it would be, but they're talking about getting a whole floor of a hotel for the players.
Right.
It would be a bit of a, you're getting in and out and making sure you're not this and that and getting tested, and that it seems a bit hassle, plus maybe driving down, you get stopped in the motorway, where are you going? And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And then,
so what have you been doing with your time then?
Eh?
What have you been doing with your time then? I mean, you've been doing some writing, and I read some of your bits, so they're really, really good.
I've had my blog for a few years, but I enjoy writing, but I kind of go off it. But having the time, and I thought, what'll I write? And I thought, well, funny enough, I'd seen a few people arguing about the thing with you and Ronnie.
Yeah.
On Twitter, and I thought, well, why don't I just do a century thing and just 10 things? And just,
I thought it was excellent.
All right, well, whatever. But it's not designed. I'm no bias, whatever. It just is what it is. I thought I'll write it, and I sort of blind write it as far as do each segment. It marks out a 10, and then at the end you might be in front. I didn't know who would be. No, that it matters, but it was. I enjoy writing it because there's not much else to do. Do you know?
Is there a book in you?
Oh no! Well, no. Nobody's going to read about me. You kidding? Funny enough, actually, I have been writing a book, but it's.
Oh, have you?
No, but this is for about 6 years. I think about 6 years. But it's just for myself.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's going to buy it anyway. Let's be honest. No, it's actually a book about Scottish snooker. Right.
Okay.
The amateur days. That's what it's kind of about. The old clubs and all that.
Yeah.
Old clubs and just the old stuff,
Cool.
So I've been writing that, but I've got a few chapters done, but then I'm, try to, because I've seen a thing, I've not looked for a while, but I think you can publish your own book.
Right.
It costs about £1,000 or something.
Okay.
And you get maybe 100 copies of it. Basically, if I wrote it and got sort of a couple hundred copies, I'd just give them away. I'd just give them to them. They even probably wouldn't read it anyway. So,
will you cook it? You'll be doing plenty of cooking.
I quite a bit. So I've been. I've not been going to supermarkets and things. I've been a couple of times, but I'm generally going to I found a couple of good. Would you call them farm shops? Right. Okay. I've been to a couple of them, and they're not busy because there's a limited sort of client they get in it. So sort of thing. Yeah. I've been going there, which is good, and it's quiet. And but apart from that, nothing. Cool. Well,
I've put out for some questions. Got plenty of questions here, so hope you're ready. Hope you're like. I'll put my bins on as well. Shows you how old we're getting. I know. So let's kick off. First one's from Andreas Cipriano, 9813. When did you first play snooker, or what got you into snooker? I think my first memory was the 1980 World Championship with Thorburn. So I would have been 9.
but it was just in telly. I remember, but no, I think by that time, I'm trying to think of the timeline. I think by that time, my older brother had got the wee table, as we all get, and it was kind of for him. But then Christmas morning, Boxing Day, I'm hitting balls away, and then I remember the first I seen on TV, I think was Storburn winning, and I thought, oh, that's that game that in the room. So, and I kind of thingied with that, and then Pot Black was, I think that was late 70s, very early 80s. Pot Black was once a week, so I'd watch that.
What age were you hit the full size table?
Full size, I'd have been at probably 13, I'd say. 13.
Similar to me then, similar to me.
I mean, I always kind of, I was decent at, like sometimes, say your parents or whatever would take you in like I remember going to a golf club a couple and made a pool table, or a pub that back then, you probably can do now, you take kids in at lunchtime and having a game of pool, and as you know, straight away you're doing like that, innit? And the basic things. And I remember sitting watching like adults playing, you're sitting thinking, they're murder, innit? They're you know you. And but then I sort of discovered it was a Davis Club in Hamilton at the time. We were walking by it. I was with my mum, and I must have been 13, and there was a sign on the door for group tuition, and I thought, oh, aye, that would be good, and so we went to that. It was Jim Donnelly,
right? Okay,
Jimmy D, so I went to that, and Jamie Burnett went to it, you know what I mean? A few guys, a lot of good players.
Yeah.
He done one in Glasgow as well in the Saturday, we were the Sunday, and sort of went for there.
Cool.
No.
Rob_R3, how often do you meet up with other Scottish players for practice?
Not as often as I'd like. The problem I've got is at the club I play in, literally I'm the only guy in there that plays snooker. Punters obviously, but no, there's no players that could make like a 20 or a 30 break, so there's no one.
Yeah.
So I've got to travel about. These days I'm mostly go to Graham's.
Right. But you've always been quite more of a solo practicer as well, haven't you?
I've kind of get through stages. I've kind of always liked to, just before a tournament, then play guys a bit more.
Right.
And you get lazy as you get older, don't you? And you don't.
Yeah, of course.
You've got to sort of force yourself to go to another club, and you get to, But sometimes that's no easy because you get set in your wee comfort thing in your own club and your own table, and you get lazy. But I'd like to go and play more with John. Well, I will do with John and Anthony and Stevie, But I get generally great. There's no the amount of players these days up here as there was.
Yeah, I know it's not as. I know the whole scene's not changed, isn't it?
You've got to go and find it, basically.
Jamie Robert 1991 says, "What made you get into media and commentating, and how does it compare to playing?" Did you do it before me? Were you doing it before me or after me? I can't remember.
I would say maybe after.
Right.
I would think so. The first one I done was, well, actually, I think I'd done some Eurosport for the World Championship one time, but it was just the two tables up to the semis. So it was the first 12 days.
So did they approach you, or did you approach them, or?
They approached me. I can't remember who it was now. I got an email from one of the production. But as far as the ITV thing now, I don't know this, but I think it might have been Clive. I think when ITV came back on board, I'm guessing here, I think they might have asked Clive, who would we maybe get as a player, whatever, maybe a player, he might have suggested this, but then I could be off the mark with that. I'm not that sure.
Right.
And I got an email from Joe BT and down went for the champions at Coventry.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Same some of these names I can't. Same Arlie Cox, Sam E. Arlie Cox could be. Who do you think is the most underrated or underappreciated player on the tour? Do you know any? Some of them are hard to pick one out, right? Put you on the spot, but
difficult. Underrated. Funny thing about it is, and everybody say snooker players tend to rate everybody, and they're all bloody good players. Great players. Somebody that was never really a what you would call a top player, but probably should have been, was Anthony Hamilton.
Right.
I thought he could have been certainly. I know he won the German thing a few years ago now, but I thought he had everything. All the game, he could score.
Prolific scorer, yeah.
He could score, so he had that nailed down. His safety was magic. He knew the game, and he had a good temperament, everything like that. So I don't quite know why he never, and it's like through the kind of, let's say, late 90s, early 90s. I thought he might have done a bit better. Although he done well, I thought he'd have done better.
Maybe just a wee, I don't know, a wee bit lack of belief or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you had to say his scoring was just incredible at times.
Aye, brilliant. But he's, I'm like with Q actions. I kind of start. For me, he's a funny one. His Q action's really long, and then.
Well, I mean, it's Frank Callan all through, isn't it?
Aye, it's long, and then but his final backswing's actually half the length of his feathers.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've always thought with him, if he kept the length, a wee bit more length in his backswing, he would. But yeah. I know I'm just spitball. I don't really know. He's an unbelievable player. So I'd say.
Sorry.
I would say Anthony. Aye.
Yeah. Jack Borwick 147. Your best memories of being an amateur, toughest opponent as an amateur. Yeah.
That's difficult. I only played amateur for probably about 2, maybe 3 years, maybe 2.
Were you playing the guys that I played? The people like Jimmy McNellan, Jimmy Allen, John Halcrow, all these, David Snedden, all these people.
I know them all, but it was funny when I started coming into it. See, I didn't really. Well, to put a number on it, the first tournament I entered was the Scottish Under-19s, and the Scottish Under-16s. I was too old to enter it.
Right.
So I missed it. So I was 16 basically. So
we didn't play as amateurs, did we?
No. I never said you turned pro, was it 86?
85. Well, the summer of 85.
Oh, was it really? Oh,
Aye.
no. I didn't play till really about 87.
Right.
It would have been 87. First tournament I played was up in the Ambassador in Kirkcaldy.
Aye, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
But
the new one or the old one, that there was two, weren't there? The big one, the big fancy one.
The big fancy one.
Aye. That was a beautiful club.
Well, funny enough, I put some pictures on Twitter it was a couple of weeks ago, and the match room, it's still the same.
Is it really?
But the table's away, though, the Joe Johnson table.
Oh, is it?
That's away, aye. They've got 2 pool tables in it. I mean...
Oh, God.
Sacrilege.
GCC 161 wants to know, why were Scots so good at snooker in the 90s and the noughties, but not as many coming through now? I suppose the same all through UKN. There's not many clubs around, is there?
Aye. I mean, two main reasons, or maybe 3. One of them I'm looking at, right, so we'll not think of that as you. But the other reason was the boom. The 80s boom through the mid-80s into the early 90s. And then by mid-80s, a lot of nice clubs were springing up. Proper nice clubs. Spencer's, the Davis Club in Argyle Street, the Ambassador, all over the place. Glasgow had a bunch of them. And then, so it was quite nice for kids to go in there.
Yeah.
Spend time. Like I said, there was group tuition, would have been 84 I went, I think. So there was that. It was only a couple of quid. In fact, I think it was about £1.50 a week. But the one in Hamilton, there was about 30 boys at that. And then the one in Glasgow, there was at least 30. So there's from... And obviously it's on the telly all the time. And then obviously you come along 86, 87, 88, then you start winning. And everybody's like, oh, wait a minute here. Because that was the first we'd seen, obviously, some of the older ones, you'd see them in the team event and whatever, the World Cup. But so then, here's what people now. I mean, as I said, the first tournament I ever played in, the Ambassador, Scottish Under-19s, I played 4 matches to get to the quarters. There was about 130 in it. And And there wasn't even a motorway to get there at the time. You know how far up it was? It was away up Octave and Puddled up and all these funny places. So I think that, and then you do it's again, you know, as well. Funny enough, let me ask you. See, when you were amateur, did you play a lot of pro-ams or no? Really,
I did. I did in Scotland. I mean, there seemed to be one every single weekend in Scotland. It seemed to be all. There was almost like a tour. You'd either be going to, I mean, Miller's in Broxburn was another place, a nice club I used to play. Would be on there, or you'd be like, as you say, Spencer's or other clubs in Glasgow. There seemed to be one every weekend, like a decent. I don't know whether you'd say pro-am, more an amateur. I didn't play a lot of pro-ams whenever I went down to England. I always got pumped. You know what I mean? I remember going down. My dad used to go down on Friday night to King's Cross, then get the train out to Essex to play something in Essex.
Aye.
And then you know, get beat in the first round, have to do the journey all the way but back up again. I had a much more I had a poor record as an amateur, really, especially down south.
Aye. What was I going to say about that?
But nowadays, I say there's no. Is there any amateur circuit to speak of now in Scotland?
No, there's nothing really. It's just dead. I mean, well, talking about back in the days when I played amateur, we had, and I think we had a Scottish I think it was under 18s was a junior section. So we had that. We had the seniors. So every weekend without fail, you'd have one of the big main national tourneys. And on top of that, you had a Sunday night, Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday night pro-ams every week for years. So there's four in it every single week. And there's probably more on top of that. Just I can't think them. And then on top of that, I remember we used to hold tournaments. There was a series of 4 tournaments in one season in the Masters Club in Denison. 25 quid a head, 32 man, best of 5s, and play it all in one day. The winner walks away with 600 quid, which is a lot of money when you're a young laddie. And brilliant. Yeah. But those days are just gone because of this year.
So someone just put up on the one the people writing things here that apparently 8 ball is massive in Scotland at the moment. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I think
massive is maybe a bit strong. I don't know.
I think they play it in a couple of the clubs in Glasgow. I think there's a pool club out in Motherwell that they play. And then the guys play money matches or something. I'm not that sure. You know, I think actually Jamie Burnett plays it, but you know.
Harrison _416 says, when did you start to become known as Angles? I don't know when that started. When did that start?
Yeah, do you know who I blame for that? It's Marcus.
Oh, really?
Marcus. Why? I blame him because I think we were in the club a long time ago, and he said it or something, and then he starts caught, and then it catches on. You're like, sticks and stones, call us what you like.
Here's one that'll put you on the spot. Callum Thompson, considering his ability, do you think Ronnie has underachieved? Which is incredible considering what he's won. Would you think he's underachieved?
Probably, aye. I mean, how many goals has he had at Sheffield since 92, was it? So he said, 27 goals or something? I mean, Christ, he's won it 5. It's good. He could have, I think through the 90s was debatable whether he'd have been able to anyway, but he looked like he never really started playing, like, being bothered, like, properly, like, until, I don't know, hard to put a number on it, maybe the early 2000s or something. He really started trying.
There was a time where he became like a winner, a serial like a match winner rather than just play. I mean, he was always a genius. He'll always be a genius. There was a time where his genius would be enough to win him world titles and everything. But there was a time, as you say, I don't know whether it's usually early 2000s, whatever, where he became just he seemed to be there to win.
Well, funny enough, the wee blog I wrote the other week or whatever. You think to some of his finals now, I can't remember what it was, the section. You think to some of his finals and say like the Triple Crown things that he lost to the Nugget, didn't he, at Wembley? From, what was he, 8-5 or 7-5 in front or something, he lost 10-6. And then the Paul Hunter, God rest him, that final, he was 7-2 up. would Ronnie lose from 7-2 up if he was tuned in?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, hard to, look, it can happen, but there was probably a bunch of the final with Mark Selby, the other, although that's credit to Mark Selby, Ronnie was about 10-4 in front, wasn't he, at one stage?
Yeah.
10-5.
I suppose there's lots of players can look back at matches where they think they could have won, could have won everything. But I think, I mean, do you think he can win another world? I think is if he wants to, and if his head's right, he could win another 3-4 world titles.
Aye, I think what we can safely say is he capable? Yeah, the answer is yes, and he can, of course he is. It's whether, I don't know about all this 17-day thing he talks about, 17 days and whatever. You're only, the first week you're only playing one match, I think he's just got to get tuned in properly and whatever. Maybe that guy, Steve Peters, I must admit, seems to help him, whatever it is he does. So I would just get him in tow and get on with it, just because it's not easy. But then you've got a different look in that, and the Crucible, you loved it. Yeah,
I mean, it was. I felt the most comfortable, the most, the long frame matches and everything. But Ronnie admits, he admitted to me on here doing one of these that he doesn't seem to. He's not really interested in being there for 17 days. It's just like that. And how can you argue if that's how you feel? That's how you feel.
No, that's right. Everybody's makeup's a wee bit different, I think what we can say is if he's capable of doing it, whether A can be bothered to put the work in to probably be able to do it, then I don't know. But wouldn't it be good if he maybe played Judd in the final or something?
Okay, who wins?
Because you never got to do that with him, did you?
I know. Who wins then if he plays Judd in the final?
Well, it's difficult, It would actually be interesting seeing Ronnie be the underdog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe how that would work out, I don't know. Because Judd's a top man now, isn't he? Let's face it.
Absolutely.
But hopefully we'll find it.
Martin_Hurls. Did you believe that you could beat Ding in 2016 in the semi?
Oh no, I did. Aye.
Yeah. I know you. I mean, I'm asking the questions here.
No, I definitely did. Again, it's you would be able to answer these things better than me as far as, see, like the night before, which was the Wednesday, I'd played John, and by the time I got out the Crucible that night after the quarter-final match, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and maybe even a wee bit later, and I went to my bed. I never got to sleep till about 5.
Were you first on? Were you in the afternoon the next day?
Aye. So then I went on, and my routine would usually be, well, not in that situation because I wasn't usually there, but for a match, saying 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, I'd get up in the morning, go to the venue and get a loosener for half hour.
Okay.
But I woke up in the morning and I went, do you know what? I can't move. I'm bushed,
Yeah.
I'll just get dressed at 12 o'clock and toddle along and play. Mm-hmm. And I was 5-0 down, and I was actually just sleeping. I was like,
your whole routine was just completely.
I was like sort of tired, and then I wasn't nervous or anything. I felt great. I felt all right. I felt good. I wasn't nervous or anything at all like that. And so that's a bit of a regret. But then that's my own fault. You've got to deal. As I say, you dealt with it. You've got to deal with these things, and I just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
I got it back at one stage to quite close. I think maybe 10-9 or something like that. But to be fair, he played brilliant. I mean, I think he had about 7 tons. He played well, But I definitely fancied beating him.
Yeah. There's been questions that me and Ronnie on social media. The latest one is that Mark and I got involved with last week is who's the best player never to win the World Championship. And we both cite obviously Ding and Jimmy as the big two. Who do you have you got an opinion on that?
Oh, it's funny. Do you know? Here's a thing as well. Just before I answer that, is see with that series of reruns of the great matches that was on the last few weeks. Time's a funny thing. Time makes people forget how good somebody was. Mm-hmm. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of people just forget snooker in the 90s and that they just think they were rubbish.
And even myself, not in terms of you because I don't need to remind, but with Jimmy, I watched a bit of Jimmy's. I watched him the 13-12, the Reading Octon, the bench, you remember how fearsome he was. Fearsome, Jimmy. He really was. So it's difficult to detach what he is now. He's still a tremendous, obviously fantastic player, but then he was like fearsome, and he did. It's the way he hit the ball, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's such a hard question to answer. You could almost pick. You get arguments for both ways. I just think Ding's got a slightly superior scoring power, and that's what excites it to me. And the season he won 5 ranking tournaments in a season like 3 or 4 years ago. It was just awesome, and I just think he's got that little bit of more fearsome scoring power.
Do you know what his thing more than Jimmy? He's more disciplined, and not so much in life, probably in life as well, because Jimmy back then was a bit here. I'm scared of him, but he's disciplined in his game. Ding plays every shot the exact same, and he doesn't push it. He doesn't get like Jimmy would go for things that he'd really, brilliant. But he even think back to was it the '83 final? He played Davis and he was 17-16 down. Was it the yellow he went for at the end?
Yeah.
And he had it dead straight and it went on in the table and left the nugget.
That's right. Yeah.
And think, just one shot, that can be the difference. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Even the one, and funny enough, here's a thing that I touched on with your the writing thing with Ronnie, you and Ronnie. See the bottle thing. See when Jimmy missed the black and you got your chance. You did it. Were you quite cold in the mind when you were doing the pinks in the middle and whatever?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about it. I didn't think that was. What I wanted to do was the reason I played so many shots in the middle. I didn't want the cue ball to travel, and I thought the easiest way was just little stuns around the pink spot. I was like, it was good the fact that if I've got a break, if I'm 50 behind and there's 5 or 6 reds, I'd much rather play the pink than the black, because you've got 4 pockets and you've got more room, and that was the ideal break for me.
But isn't it funny? That wouldn't normally be the best thing for you.
No.
The black's the best thing for you.
Absolutely.
It was the best thing for you.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not the best thing for you. The situation dictated that it was the best thing for you. It's funny. But see the bottle thing. You can't. I was writing about you can't really teach it. And the part of the reason for that, see when that situation comes up 17 each and the guy misses and leaves you in like a real good chance.
Yeah.
You can't practice for that.
No.
Yeah, obviously, but you can either be cold and do it or panic and maybe do it.
Yeah. It's different because like on any given day you react differently. I mean, I could get that opportunity the following day and twitch the second shot, but it just so happens I was like I came to the table. I was able to do it.
But Ding's probably a wee bit stronger in most departments.
Yeah, that's what I say. Let's see. This is story. What happened with Tony Drago that match? He started smacking himself over the head. What was going on there?
Right. Well,
I remember I've watched it, but what was I don't know what was going on.
Well, down Sheffield, so it was an Australian guy, the referee. What's his name? Anyway, can't remember. So Tony, what was it? Tony's done. The sequence of shots doesn't really matter that much, but I think he's got a real good chance on the blue. He needed a snooker, got the snooker, and now he's got a chance, and he's on the blue. He's missed the blue. The blue's running up and down the table, and it looks like he's going to leave me just a tap in. And it pretty much was a tap in that he left. But when he's, that way, he bounces, he's stomping down he shook my hand and went, oh, well, yeah, well played. And he physically shook my hand, and I went, oh, well, all right, okay, I'm sorry. And the referee shook my hand and then Tony, I think, has gone, the blues ran on a wee bit more, I think, than they thought, and he's kind of went, well, maybe if, could you not just maybe play it? And I'm like, well, I think you've shook my hand and now I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? And that way, but then the referees, when he's gone, Tony, you'll get fined 250 quid. because you've conceded and you can still win.
Yeah.
But the referee, I don't think, should have said that, because now it's as if the two of them are trying to put a guilt trip in me, and I'm like, I never even done it. Do you know what I mean? I never even said it. And so that was that. So he went and done it. But when it's funny, when he was banging his head and whatever, which is no nice, and I'm putting my cue away, I'm like that.
Well, what do you? Because you're in them wee rooms, cubicles. There's nowhere to go. There's like you're trapped.
No. So I'm driving. It was in the Australian. It was in the Australian tournament, I think. Or no, maybe German. Anyway, I'm driving up the road over the A66. You know, Scotch Corner, and the phone goes, and it's Tony. This is about 2 hours later. It's Tony. Hi mate, I'm really sorry about what happened there and blah blah. I says, Tony, listen, Dick, whatever, you know, listen, I've done worse. I says, don't worry. He's going, I mean, the thing is, Alan, we should know better. I'm like, what do you mean we? We've never done it. So that was him. So no, it's fine. You know, I mean, you can't take offence really. So, it was funny, but
what Gabe _TW is asking, what do you believe is your greatest achievement?
For me, and I've kind of always said this, and it's pretty boring, pretty thing, is just turning pro.
Really?
Just the way I turned pro was weird. I had, you know, the pro tickets, there was 3 of them.
Yeah.
I had to go to the last one at Prestatyn, and I thought I had to get to the final. Now there's about 1,500 people in it, and and a lot of good players. I'm like, no chance. I just went as a kind of whatever, because I was going in. I think the internationals was on, and end up we got to the semis, and Drew Hendry beat us 4-3, and I thought, oh bummer, you know, I've knocked out, and then I got in on frame count back or something like that, or whatever it was, and I got like a dog's chance, and then I played a playoff to get in the playoffs, you know, the pro ticket playoffs. I was joined with a guy called Jason Whittaker. I played him to get in the playoffs, and I got through that match, and then went to the playoffs and got through. But funny enough, that very at Prestatyn, and that was the first time I ever met you.
Right.
Because I don't know, you probably do. And do you know what day it was? I think it was the day after you won your first world title.
Oh, was it? So I'll be playing in the professional.
I think you would have been contracted, you know, the 8-man.
Right, yeah.
Is that right? You'd have been...
90, yeah. Yeah, because I knew I was going there after whether, you know, before playing in Sheffield, I knew I was going to play in the Ponics Pro after it. And I mean, to be fair, when I won, I didn't want to go, but...
I know. And you won it, didn't you?
I think so. I think
I
so.
remember watching it. But you'll not remember this. And it was the night after you won your first Crucible. We were in the bar. I think it was called the Clued Bar.
Clued Bar, aye.
So
I used to love Ponics for like a snooker enthusiast or player. But the festivals twice a year were just brilliant.
Aye. So we're all standing at the bar, me and all the boys, the Scottish, the amateur boys, because we're the home internationals on that week, and I got a tap on the shoulder, and I turned round, and it was you, and you went, oh, how you doing, Alan? Congrats, well done, winning the Scottish amateur. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? You won a thing like that, and do you know what I mean? I was like,
oh no, the Clued Bar, gods.
Aye, but it was I think that was that very week. But turning pro, it was unexpected. I was doing all right as an amateur. But I kind of turned pro really quickly and unexpectedly.
Right.
And so if I hadn't done that at that time, I would never have had a sort of decentish career. I wouldn't have been around probably very long.
Yeah.
I might not even ever turn pro.
Well, someone's saying Dirks _Rolls says, "What's the secret to your longevity in the game?" I mean, you still love practicing, you still love playing, do you? I
enjoy. I don't enjoy. I can't put in the hours. I can't do 4 and 5 and 6 hours every day. I can't do that anymore. But I still enjoy trying to figure things out. You know, like even I keep talking about yourself, but sight right, things like that. You try things, don't you? And it keeps enthusiasm. I've tried the last few years to hit the cue ball in the middle, which I've never done before, and I'm still kind of working at that. So that keeps you
People watching this will probably think that's unbelievable. You're trying for years. People have been pro for like 20, 30 years trying to work out at the cue ball in the middle. Well, it's mad, isn't it?
It's an illusion, isn't it? You think you're hitting it in the middle because your eyes don't see the middle or whatever. So now I've taken me about how long's that now? In fact, I think that's 2 years, just 2 years, trying to hit the white in the middle. But the problem, I was always right-hand side. But the problem is when you do hit it in the middle, you feel like you're hitting it with tons of left.
That's it. I know.
So it just feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you get enthusiasm for that.
This is a wee technical question. You'll understand this question. I don't really understand it. Matt Thomas, D4. When playing a two-cushion escape from a snooker, do you start from the cue ball or the object ball? Do you know what he means by that?
Oh, right. You don't really start from anywhere, do you? The first thing you think about is how the cushions are thrown in it. You know, is there a slip? Are they square? Are they sliding? And see, funny thing about getting out of snooker, I always think you've got 3 balls to hit. That's weird.
Yeah.
I think I'll try and explain. Say that the width of that phone's 1 ball.
Yeah.
That's another ball width.
Right.
And that's about a ball width there.
Right.
So see if the ball on the out, if you go past it just there, you'll clip it.
Yeah.
And the same there. So your actual target's about that size.
Yeah.
Rather, it's not that, it's that.
Yeah. I mean, you never think about that, but it's good. But anyone that's watching, that's a good bit.
Well, if you think of it, you're not just trying to hit a ball; it's part of a ball.
Yeah.
When you contact the outside edge of the ball, there's actually 2 balls there.
Right.
Isn't there? If you flip
I know.
it,
Yeah. I understand.
There's another. Your cue ball could catch that edge as well.
Yeah, that was a funny thing watching these reruns there on the Crucible, the old ones when they weren't calling a miss, they were missing it by about 2 feet and not getting called.
It's just, well, there wasn't any point in playing a good safety, was there?
I know. I see the Davis Knowles match. Knowles had him snookered, and honestly, the red was near behind the black. I don't think Davis even reached the pink, and it wasn't called a miss.
That's right. I see. Is that the one with 2 reds left?
Yeah.
He's gone right side cushion to red. I know. He's not even, didn't even look guilty.
I'll try and get this name. I'll take my time here. Japhet Thundakrat, something like that. What's the best moment you've commentated on? Mine. I'll tell you mine before you start. Mine quickly. I was fortunate to do Ronnie's 1000th century. That was incredible. That was a credible moment.
That would have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky. I was in the obviously studio there. That was brilliant. There was one from the. It was at the Crucible. It was Matt Williams, but was it what match was it now? It was one of the big semi-finals, I think, at the Crucible. It might have been Matt Williams and Hawkins. Anyway, I was in with JV, and somebody might have needed a snooker with a pink and black left. It was late. It was like, I don't know the exact. It was maybe 15, 14 or something at the time. It's massive.
Yeah.
He's got the snooker, and the guy's played out whoever it was and missed it. And JV's actually going. He's almost like jumping about in the book, and he got me at it, and then I'm jumping going, unbelievable, you know how, and it just that moment kind of
yeah.
It was like electric, and I was like, oh god, this is like scary, you know. Fun, you can sort of just put your mind in and watch him, and he was going bananas. That was a brilliant. I was getting goosebumps.
Yeah. It's one thing when you're with JV, he's probably the one who really gets gets involved. I mean, Dennis is brilliant as well, but I think JV gets even more animated. I think when he gets excited, he gets really into it.
Funny enough, the other Graham from IMG was in he was in the box at the time. It's Graham, isn't it? Graham
Fry, yeah.
Graham Fry. He was in the box at the time, and he was sitting at the back, and he'd get caught up in it as well. It was like one of the most exciting frames, but it was just brilliant. I just love, and And I hadn't been in with JV much. I think I might have been my first year.
Okay.
And I thought it was brilliant. But you're right. You get excited, Good.
Do you think commentating's IAS_98? So do you think commentating's helped your actual game?
Nah, no, really.
No.
I wouldn't say that. I think I wouldn't. Not really. I don't see how it really could. Quick answer.
Okay. That's simple. Yeah. Okay, this is a quite a good question. I thought this Justin Bradish. If you could commentate on a match between two players from any era, who would they be?
Commentating a match from any era. That's hard, isn't it? It would be the usual suspects that you would. But I would.
How do you think? Here's a slightly different question. How do you think if Steve Davis in his prime, in the final today against, say, Judd Trump, what's the score?
It's tough, isn't it?
I know.
See, on these things, when it's a player from players from different eras, what you've always got, and I know this is obvious, what you've always got to remember is the day that Davis won his world title or titles, all the days that happened from then to now hadn't happened yet. So do you know what I mean? He didn't know about Judd. The guy that was in the other chair. So you've got to take that into account. I mean, I played the Nugget. I only played him in the 90s, and I thought he was an unbelievably good player. I mean, there was a time he just looked. You just look. How can anyone ever beat him? He was like the 1990, the famous UK final with you and him, 16-15. And you, I know how well you were playing it. He was playing good, wasn't he?
No, I was good. No, but I think Judd is just. I think Judd is possibly going to take it to a new level. I think.
Oh, aye, possibly. Look, Judd. The answer to that is Judd would probably beat him because he.
I think he would. But I think it'd be interesting just to see. I would say Judd would probably beat him 18-7, 18-8, probably something like that.
Probably, aye.
Somewhere in that region.
But the other thing though that he would need to play well. If he didn't play, the Nugget would get him.
He would need to earn his chances. I know that because if Davis' safety play was granite.
Davis was just an unbelievable player. I thought he was. I played him in my first final, and it was in Bangkok, and I never missed a shot. I played one of the best matches I played. He beat me 9-3, and I came off. I was over the moon with myself because I played brilliant. I never missed a shot.
I've got there's so many questions I could have asked you, but I've not got time because these things they only last 59 minutes. So I've been doing with trivia questions with some players. Let me come on. Now that's trying to pick one with you because I know you're probably an encyclopedia. You probably know everything about your career.
Certainly know about myself. I don't think.
Trying to find it. Anyway, so I go to Q Tracker. So if it's wrong, it's their fault, not mine.
The thing, just quickly, you were saying about with Mark Williams, because I don't know if you keep doing these, which is brilliant. On the Q Tracker, there's a head-to-head thing.
I didn't notice it. I think
it's in the upper left corner or something.
Right.
It just head-to-head.
Because someone say, I think I'm ahead him by 2 or something. Someone put it on Twitter, I think. Something like that.
But there's a thing.
If only I'd known that, I could have get it to him tight that other night. Right, number one, who did you beat in the final of the 1990 B&H Satellite?
Oh, that was James Watana, or Watana, whatever you say his name. That was James, aye.
Yeah.
Funny thing about that was it was in the Masters Club in Denison.
Yeah, I remember they used to play there, yeah.
Aye, and now this sounds really weird because it was 30 years ago, although it was in December. But if that was, do you know what? That was the following week for that UK final.
Was it?
Aye. It was the following week. You obviously wouldn't have been in it because you were at Wembley. But it was the following week, literally the next day, I think, after the final. It started on the Monday.
Right.
But the funny thing about that being 30 years ago, they streamed it. They streamed it from, somebody got, an old video camera that size, a video camera, and they sat at the end of the table and ran a cable away down into the lounge. The two tellies that were about that size above the
you remember the score?
It was either 9-5 or 9-6.
9-5.
Oh, right, okay.
9-5.
Aye.
9-5.
I knew it was 9-5 or 9-6, aye. But I remember that quite well. It was good. And that room, funny enough, is quite small. I think there was about 300 people in it. You couldn't have fit 20 people. It was good days, aye.
Number 2, in your 1994 Masters win, who did you beat in the first round?
Oh, no. I wouldn't. No,
I've got him.
I wouldn't. I mean, I could hazard a guess. I would hazard off just out of left field. Robbie do. No.
Nigel Bond.
Oh, okay.
Here's another one. Who'd you beat in the semi-final? This is not the question, but I've seen this.
Well, do you know what? I think it's Folsey.
Yeah, it's Folsey, aye.
I think because somebody told us that a wee while ago.
Yeah, I was going to say the quick, but I thought you'd get that quick. I thought you'd get that one. Nigel Bond, in the first round. And the third one, what was unusual about the last 4 matches in your 1996 Thailand Open win?
Deciders.
Everyone, yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Aye,
from the last 16 on, everyone was decider.
Right, aye. I remember that. I'm trying to think the hotel it was in. I think it was in the Imperial Queen's Park. Maybe. Was it?
So like last 16 you beat Robbie Dew, and then Watana, then Peter Ebdon, and then Ken Doherty in the final. All deciders.
Oh right, I never knew that. Oh well.
Yeah. 4 deciders. Unbelievable.
I used them all up in one tournament. I can't know.
Listen, mate, I appreciate you doing this. I've enjoyed it. It's been the time's gone so quick. There were so many more questions, but I just couldn't get them all in. We'll maybe do it again sometime.
Is that 50 minutes?
It cuts off after 59 minutes, so we'll cover. But yeah, hopefully we'll see each other maybe, I don't know, soon to do some snooker.
July. Well, I think I'm right. Funny enough, I was talking to Folsey a couple of weeks ago. Is it right that if let's say if everything goes ahead, it would be Llandudno, then the World qualifying, and then
Llandudno, I think is the 21st of July, possibly.
Oh right, okay.
And so you'll virtually go there. Well, if whoever's playing there will virtually go there straight almost to the Crucible, yeah.
Right, okay.
But as I say, I don't know where we'll be working, but
I thought it was a wee bit earlier, Llandudno, if it's on.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong.
But anyway, let's hope they're on anyway. Get some proper snooker.
I wanted to ask you about the golf. How was your golf today?
I no bad. I got beat. I lost a tenner. We were level on the 17th tee. I played a friend of mine at Sunningdale who's a member there, and I lost the last 2 holes unfortunately. But yeah, it's just great to get it.
I know, but thingy, that golf, like that. Take it you seen the golf last night. It was weird, wasn't it?
I was saying before you came on, I watched 4 or 5 holes and turned it off. There was no edge to it. It
was like watching yourself playing albeit the standard was better.
Yeah,
it was like it was 4 guys having a bounce game.
I know. I'd say it'd be almost better if they had piles of cash in the green and they were playing for like their own money or something, just to make it a wee bit edge. But I mean Dustin Johnson. It's on again now, but Dustin Johnson was spraying it all over the place, and they weren't bothered. Do you know what I mean? You could tell they weren't bothered. So
I watched 5 or 6 holes. I was the same, but he looked at you could maybe tell he hadn't maybe played a lot or a lot in it, but
But golf, I think serious golf's back with the 10th or 11th of June, I think, in America, proper tournament, so that'll be good. But yeah, no, appreciate it and stay safe, mate.
Nice.
And we'll hopefully see each other soon.
Aye, definitely. Nice
are you going to have a wee nip now, or?
I would think so.
Cheers, Alan. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, mate.
Nice one. Cheers. Bye. Put that off there.